Well, Blake No Teeth Lively is looking to investigate Justin Baldoni, and she's telling him, hey, can I borrow some of your evidence? Because, I don't have any. We have Teddi Mellencamp with a heartbreaking health update and an Onijah Robinson update. We have spotted her. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? We have found her yet again. I'll give you that update. Let's get it. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. What's up, guys? Welcome on in, welcome on in, welcome on in. Happy, what's today? Thursday? Happy Thursday. I hope you guys are having a great week. Anything fun happening in the world? Oh, actually, sorry. I might scare some of you off, but I just saw, you guys know, I've been over here lobbying for RFK Jr., and he has just been confirmed by the Senate. He went through all the roadblocks, the Finance Committee. The Senate has taken their vote, and they have voted in favor of making RFK the next Secretary of Health and Human Services. What a win. What a win for America. I'm so happy. We had Tulsi Gabbard, who was confirmed as well. So, yay. I know the live chat is lit, and some of you are going to be like, bye. And that's okay. I love you anyway. Love, love, love. Haters are going to hate, but I just love, love, love. Sorry, that was a bit of good news for me, but if you guys have good news to share, then please, by all means, continue to share the good news. Share the good love. Respect to the law. Respect to Allah. Respect to God. Thank you very much. Clear the way. Do you know where that's from? Is there a worm still in his head? I don't know. I guess we're about to find out. I wonder if Teddy's ex-husband is like, this explains some things. Oh, that's not very nice. You're referring to Edwin, and I don't believe he's her ex-husband yet because they're still technically married. But I guess let's start with that news, right? Thank you, Zack. You were awesome on Meghan McCain's podcast. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it so, so much. Pro FGB, Zack is a Trumper. Zack, let me clarify. As Zack and Zack's spokesperson, let me clarify. I know, as Tanya said, it's expensive to talk, but listen, Linda. I am not a Trumper. I am not. I just am an independent, free-thinking person that happens to be American, and that believes in what is best for our country. That is not always in line with the Trumper agenda or the MAGA agenda, but sometimes I will agree with a thing or two. And sometimes I'll agree with a thing or two on the left. I just happen to be an independent, free thinker. So in case there was any confusion around that, please send the hamsters on Reddit some notes. That said, it's private, but no. Hi, Zack Daddy. Hi, Kenny G. Okay, so, and says, you're not a Trumper, just a dumb American. I mean, sure. Whatever you want to call me, my love. Okay, Teddi Mellencamp, unfortunately, has announced that there are tumors that were found in her brain, which is heartbreaking. I adore Teddi. I've been, a long time supporter of Teddi. I know a lot of people don't like her. A lot of people have feelings about her, but that was some sad news that came out on Wednesday of this week. She posted this note on Instagram. She wrote, "For the last several weeks, I've been dealing with severe and debilitating headaches. Yesterday, the pain was unbearable and required hospitalization. After a CT scan and MRI, doctors found multiple tumors on my brain, which they believe have been growing for at least 6 months. 2 of the tumors will be surgically removed today. The remaining smaller tumors will be dealt with via radiation at a later date. I am blessed to be surrounded by my children, family, friends, doctors, nurses, and surgeons who are doing everything possible to get me back into better health. Thank you, everybody who has reached out, and to everyone who supported me along this journey." It truly, listen, whether you believe in a higher power or not, I think Teddi could use lots of love and prayers. So it's not brain cancer. I'm told that it's melanoma that is spread. So it could potentially be even worse. We know that she's dealt with melanoma on her back and on her shoulder. It's continued to grow. She's had a number of melanoma removed in the past, and unfortunately, it appears to have spread to her brain without knowing. And it's heartbreaking, you know? It really is. And she is a mother. She's got young kids. I know a lot of people may not like Teddi or may have strong feelings about her, but at the end of the day, it is gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. So, sending love to Teddi. I know Tamara Judge has spoken out in support of, well, I mean, obviously is, one of her good friends and podcast co-host, but then we also had her husband, Edwin. We had Kyle Richards. We had Morgan Wade, all of which were by her side during her surgery. She did, like I said, and like she shared on her Instagram, have a first surgery to have 2 of the tumors removed. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. But love, love, love to Teddi and family. Edwin was there, so he's standing by her side and wrote a really sweet tribute on social media. It's tough, right? Especially, I mean, I can't imagine going through this on top of going through a divorce. I mean, we obviously know there was the affair, but we'll have to see how this continues. Irma said, cancer, autism, dementia, heart disease are all going to start declining. That's the hope. I know there's a lot of like scary headlines in the news lately, but I mean, all we can do right now is try to stay the most optimistic and try to hope for the best. I feel like, not that I want to get political, but since this is kind of coming up, and I was thinking about this morning, because I just see such, this like divisiveness, and I see so many of these hyperbolized headlines that people send me every day, and I'm just like, okay, that's not, the headline is not true, or it's taken out of context, or there's a lot more information to that. And I just remember, like, after the last election, right? And I've been very honest, I voted for Joe Biden in the last election. I just felt at that point our country just needed a bit of calm. Um, and I don't remember going into that presidency, and that's not to say I agreed with everything that Joe Biden was out there preaching, right? You're never going to fully agree with any presidential candidate, and if you do, then you really have to like look at yourself and be like, there's not one single person in this world that I'm going to agree with and align with on everything. So if you find yourself doing that, whether it's the left or the right, whatever side you don't want to question, that's when I think you need to really question yourself and be like, okay, like I need to really do some inner work here. Um, but even not fully endorsing everything that Biden was about, I still went into that presidency somewhat optimistic and hopeful, right? And I was like, well, listen, let's give him some time and let's just see what happens. Let's see what he's got. And ultimately, what he had was dementia and inflation. That's what he brought to the table. But I still wanted to give him an opportunity to show us what he has. And I think it's a challenging time. And if you continue to listen to the media and read the headlines and continue to feed into the fear porn, panic porn, fear mongering, you're only going to continue to attract more of that craziness. But if you just kind of take a beat, hope for the best, let's just see what this new administration has to bring before we really judge. And I know that that's a big ask, but that's just the place that I'm operating from and the place that I'm coming into. And yeah, is what it is. Just Me says RFK Jr. isn't against science. I think some people need to understand science before making comments. Yeah, that's such an interesting concept of how the dogma has taught us that like science is like math, and 4 + 4 is always going to equal 8, and 2 + 1 is always going to equal 3. Like math is very binary, it's very concrete. Science is meant to be poked and prodded and questioned. That's the whole point of science is its theory and hypothesis that's meant to be questioned. Because at one point, science told us that the world was flat. At one point, science told us that cigarettes are healthy for you. At one point, science said that women should drink wine because it lowers their stress levels while pregnant. So, science is meant to be questioned and it's meant to evolve. Science is never concrete and it's never settled. So, all right, I'm gonna get off my soapbox now and let's talk about. So that was Teddi Mellencamp, sending love to Teddi. Let's talk about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni because this is really interesting. So Blake Lively she wants to subpoena Justin Baldoni and co., the Wayfarer parties as they would like to be referred. So per TMZ, Blake Lively's attorneys sent subpoenas to 3 different phone carriers. There's AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. And they want info from Justin Baldoni, Jennifer Abel, his publicist, his crisis PR publicist, Melissa Nathan, Jamie Heath, who was a producer on It Ends With Us, and then the Jed Wallace, who again is accused of astroturfing, right? He's accused of doing some sort of data manipulation to hack the algorithm so that it was not in favor of Blake Lively and was intended to make her look bad on social media. And then we also have Steve Sorowitz, who was a co-founder of Wayfarer Studios. So those are those are the defendants named in Blake Lively's lawsuit. Justin Baldoni, Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan, Jamie Heath, Jed Wallace, Steve Sorowitz. All of those people Blake Lively wants to subpoena because she wants all of the phone records from text messages to emails, like anything that they can, maybe not emails. I'm not entirely sure what like AT&T and T-Mobile would be able to provide aside from like call logs and text messages and like correspondence. But so I believe it's going back over the last 2 years. Okay, so here's because Brian Friedman, who is Baldoni's attorney, spoke out, and Friedman issued this statement to TMZ saying subpoenas are an ordinary part of the litigation process, which they are. But what he said, what is extraordinary is that Blake Lively, the Lively parties, are seeking. They're asking for every single phone call, text, data log, and even real-time location information for the past 2.5 years, regardless of the sender, the recipient, or the subject matter. This massive fishing expedition shows that they are desperately seeking any factual basis for their provably false claims. They will find none. And this is kind of what I thought, right? So few different things that are really standing out here for anybody that's still like, Blake Lively is telling the truth. We believe the truth is coming. She's got nothing. Nothing. Okay. This is absolutely a fishing expedition because if she had something, she would have presented it right now. Remember, she was so confident when she presented her case to the New York Times and she published the text messages. And the text messages we now see were lacking context. They were chopped up. They were, in fact, cherry picked. And they were manipulated, right? They retyped them and removed the emoji. And we saw that the information that was presented from her team, which never proved the harassment claims, they only were intended to prove the retaliation claims with the smear campaign that they are alleging. So at the end of the day, it's not looking too strong for Blake Lively because there's nothing that's been presented. She wants to gag Justin Baldoni, no teeth. She wants to fight who can depose her, which seems like a delay tactic at this point. She's asking for extensions in court. So it kind of seems like, lady, you have the truth on your side, supposedly, allegedly, right? The truth is supposed to be on your side. How is it? And you claim that you were keeping track of everything and there are HR reports and all this shit, right? So if that were really the case, then why is it so hard for you to just provide all of that evidence and bring it into court? Right? Just because the judge isn't impressed that you don't use teeth doesn't mean you can't provide a solid case. And right now, it seems like this is absolutely a fishing expedition because she doesn't have anything. She made allegations of an alleged smear campaign without having any actual proof that a smear campaign took place. And because it's so like inconceivable for her to think the internet just organically turned on her, she's now making it seem like this was some diabolical plot, which even if you look at the document, right? Pull up the document that was presented in the New York Times article originally. And they claim, oh, these are the different tiers. This is what the smear campaign was alleging. Even if you review that document, nothing in that says we're going to get some reporter who's going to release this interview with a little bump and we're going to show all of Blake Lively's past interviews and we're going to astroturf to make sure those interviews go viral. That was never part of the plan. They didn't even reference any of Blake Lively's interviews. And now we continue to see more of the internet sleuths that continue to drag out Blake Lively's interviews. And we'll get into another one because there was one that came out Which one was it? There was a new one that came out with Penn Badgley. And so it was reported in the Daily Mail this morning that there was an interview that she did, I believe it was Cosmo. Let me see. Let me pull up the exact magazine cover. Yes. So, it was Glamour. Glamour back in 2009, Blake Lively did an interview. And so this, again, was published in the New York Times, published in the Daily Mail. And so she played Serena on Gossip Girl. Penn Badgley, who she dated for a hot minute, played Dan Humphrey. And so in this Glamour magazine interview that she did back in 2009 that has now been resurfaced, Blake said, "At first, I was so upset that they hired him," referring to Penn Badgley. She said, "But then they noticed that she said, "At first, I was upset that they hired him. I actually poisoned the whole cast against him. But then they noticed that he wasn't a jerk and was actually a really nice, charming person. Almost immediately, I realized that too, but it took me about a week to admit it." So again, she just loves to tell on herself, right? It was like the Forbes Women's Summit interview from a few years ago, where she's talking about how, she likes to make sure she has authorship over the projects that she does. And so she goes into it acting like she's going to play a really nice, sweet actress, and she's just going to do her job and play her role. And then eventually she ends up hijacking the project because she doesn't think that going into it initially, if she goes into it and tries to let them know that she plans to hijack the project, then they're not going to hire her. Well, it's like, yeah, no fucking shit. Like, why would they hire you if they think that you're going to hijack their movie? Whitney Cummings came out and posted on her TikTok, and she's just like, yeah, typically when you go onto these movie sets, most of the decisions that you're seeing on this film set or on a television show set, or probably a film more so than a television show, because things change often with TV shows, and when you have to wait to see if a show gets picked up or not or whatever for another season. But when it comes to films specifically, Whitney Cummings is like, these decisions have been made for at least the last 2 years. So the last thing that they want to do, because it takes some time, pre-production takes time. You have to find locations, you have to get financing, you have to make sure that you have a distribution partner, you have to go through a series of casting calls. Like, there's a lot that goes into the pre-production phase before you actually get the first toe on the set, right? And so actors, usually they go through the casting process, they get cast in the film, and then they end up reading their lines. And Whitney Cummings, in her video, she's like, listen, I don't want to diminish the role of actors, because the role of actors is very important in a film. Their job is to bring the character to life. And then you have somebody like Blake Lively, who can't even be bothered to read the fucking book that It Ends With Us is based off of. And so she has no clue who the character is necessarily, or how Colleen Hoover, who is the author, wanted to color Lily so that you could bring her to life, right? Because Lily's a multifaceted person and a multifaceted character. So Blake Lively's job isn't to discover who Lily is and then, put her own spin on it. Her job as an actress, as an actor, is to bring the character that was written to life. And sure, there are certain parts of yourself that you can bring to the character, and that comes with the creativity from the actor. But at the end of the day, your job really is to play the character and read the lines. Whitney Cummings made a good point about how, like, if an actor were to come on set and want to change the dialogue by saying, well, I wouldn't say it that way. It's like, well, yeah, no shit, you wouldn't say it that way, because you're not playing yourself. You're playing somebody else. You're playing a character. And Whitney made a comment about how most actors are so insecure that that's why they like to act and they like to take on the role of somebody else, because it feels, their need to play somebody different, to take themselves out of themselves. But Blake Lively is somebody that is so, I don't want to say narcissistic, because I feel like that term is thrown around too loosely, but so self-indulgent, right? Her ego is her biggest love affair is with herself and her ego. And so she doesn't want to play other characters. She really wants to play herself, which is not typically the role of an actor. Curious if we have any actors watching or listening to this that have commentary. Please weigh in and let me know how you feel about that. And, if you approach a role, or if you're cast as a character and suddenly you want to recreate that character in a way that, fulfills your own narrative. But so, yeah, that Glamour magazine article, and she was on the cover of it too. That was the other crazy part. So it was the Glamour cover. Was it British Glamour? Yeah, I think it was the Glamour in the UK, August 2009 edition. And Blake Lively on the cover, living her best life, looking cute in her Gossip Girl days. But yeah, so we see that she was absolutely trying to diminish Penn Badgley's role coming on the set 'cause for whatever reason she didn't like him. And so we're seeing all these old interviews. And again, this is not due to astroturfing. This is not due to Justin Baldoni's smear campaign against her, because the smear campaign would come with alleged behavior and rumors on the set and all of these leaked articles from anonymous sources to make somebody look bad. At this point, the internet is doing a good job of making Blake Lively look bad because she could do bad all by herself. She doesn't even need a smear campaign. But so this is a very clear fishing expedition. And so I'll get into more of my thoughts about that in a second. We do have 3 sponsors in this episode. I'm going to get through them all right now so that the rest of the episode can be focused on the content. So let's do some shout outs to our sponsors. Sponsor number 1, I want to give some love to, and that is Pair Eyewear. Woo woo. We've all heard of New Year, New You a million times, but why stick to just one version of yourself? Pair Eyewear has tons of shapes and styles to match any new vibe you want to rock this new year. So you can keep changing things up and looking your best as you conquer 2025. The base frames start at just $60, like the ones I'm wearing right now, including your prescription. Plus, you get 15% off by using code NOFILTER at paireyewear.com. The link is also in the description below. I love Pair Eyewear. They're cute. They're chic. They have a virtual try-on that you can use if you go on the website, paireyewear.com. You can go on your web camera on your computer, and you can take a photo and see how you actually look, or you can upload a photo so that you can see how the glasses will look on your actual face rather than having to just like place the order and hope that they look good, right? You can find your perfect frames with their virtual try-on, and I personally love these. They're so cute. Everybody gives me confidence. They tell me I have, sexy librarian vibes when I'm rocking them. But give them a try. Base frames, like I said, start at just $60, and the top frames, which are these additional add-ons that just snap right on. Boop, look at that. Suddenly I have sunglasses because it's like snap, snap, let's get it. You have a variety of different options, so you can switch up your vibe anytime. Ooh, hello. Blocking out the haters with these shades. These toppers start at $25. Free shipping on US orders, free returns and exchanges within 30 days, no questions asked, and it's super easy. So go and check them out right now. Head on over if you want to start the new year off right and you want to show off new sides of yourself this year. Go to paireyewear.com and use code NOFILTER for 15% off your first pair. And you can support the show by mentioning that No Filter with Zack Peter sent you in their post-checkout survey. So go show some love to Pair Eyewear. That's Pair, P-A-I-R, paireyewear.com. Promo code NOFILTER. Woo woo. Speaking of things I love and other sponsors that help make this show available, I want to shout out Thrive Market. You know what a crazy statistic is? What? Over 10,000 chemicals have entered our US food supply, yet the EU limits this to just 300 additives. I personally don't have time to sift through all the ingredient labels to see what's in my food, which is why I love me some Thrive Market. Thrive Market makes it so easy to find better options without the hassle. One of my favorite features is their Healthy Swap scanner in the Thrive Market app. It's simple. You can scan any item and instantly you'll get suggestions for cleaner, healthier grocery alternatives. The best part, everything gets delivered right to my door and I have savings on every order. Thrive Market takes the guesswork out of finding safe, healthy foods, and all of their products are 100% non-GMO and free from over 1,000 harmful ingredients. Their on-site features make shopping easier, whether you're looking for dye-free snacks, non-toxic cleaning, or high-protein meals that fit your dietary preferences. Thrive Market has you covered in just a few clicks. My Chomps meat sticks, boom, in my cart. They have a ton of healthy brands that I buy when I go to the market, but sometimes I don't feel like going to the market. I like it all curated for me, and Thrive Market is great at doing that. They even have a smart cart feature, which takes out the stress of having to find replacements to junk food that I love. And sometimes you want an indulgence, but you feel better about it when it's a healthier option. So if you're ready for a junk-free start to your 2025, head to thrivemarket.com/nofilter and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's Thrive Market, RIVE, thrivemarket.com/no-filter. thrivemarket.com/no-filter. And also, while we're looking good, right? We're feeling good because we're nourishing our bodies. We're looking cute because we got our new glasses or our new shades, whatever you want. But also, if you want your hair to be like, oof, you want that high body count hair or just healthy hair, right? Then you're going to want to check out Nutrafol. This year, there's nothing like holding back from loving your hair again. Hair is so much more than what you see on the surface. It's a reflection of what's happening inside. Somebody send this tip to Blake Lively. Let Nutrafol target the key root causes of your thinning hair and help you grow stronger, healthier strands from within. Hair thinning is very common and a very frustrating problem that many men deal with. Ladies, if you want to make sure your man has a nice full mane, you want to get them some Nutrafol. From stress and nutrition to hormones to lifestyle, so many internal factors affect what you see on the outside, but luckily Nutrafol is here to help, and they do have options for both men and women depending on what phase of life you're in. Nutrafol is the number one dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. Okay, physician formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients, Nutrafol supports healthy hair from within by targeting key roots of thinning. Like I said, whether it's stress, hormones, aging, nutrition, lifestyle, metabolism, they do this through whole body health. While many supplements rely solely on ingredient studies, Nutrafol clinically tests final formulations to ensure their efficacy. So, building a hair growth routine is simple. Purchase online, no prescription required, automated deliveries, and free shipping keeps you on track so that you're looking good and feeling confident. Plus, with the Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20%. You'll have access to a free naturopathic doctor, and you'll also get a membership to Headspace Meditation, so that way you can help bring down those stress levels. Start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter promo code NOFILTER. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair that makes you look and feel good. Nutrafol.com. That's spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code NOFILTER. Nutrafol.com. Promo code NOFILTER. All the links are in the description below. Sarah says, too many commercials. I'm sorry, Sarah. There were only 3. And now we're done. So now we can get through the rest of the episode with ease. Okay, so what are my thoughts about Blake Lively trying to subpoena the phone records? It tells me she's got a whole lot of nothing. Zero, none, not one. No proof, right? Total fishing expedition. This tells me she has nothing and she's digging to find something. Because again, if she had any sort of evidence that could be presented in court, she wouldn't need an extension and she wouldn't be on this fishing expedition. Now, Brian Friedman, the Wayfair attorney, he is doing a great job, and he makes a really good point that it's not just her, pulling phone records, right? Because that's standard in a lawsuit like this. It's the fact that they want to go back over 2 years and they want everything. Location. So what does this tell me? This tells us that the smear campaign is literally just a theory. They're claiming that they will find receipts, but they don't know what those receipts are, but they're going to find them. So please, just basically she's saying, hey, Justin Baldoni, give us your evidence so that we can bury you, right? We don't know what the receipts are, but we know that they're there. So give us access to everything you have, and then everybody will know what you did. But what did they do? Shouldn't you know that going into this? What did they do? Because even Jed Wallace is suing you in Texas. And so here's a little footnote that most people didn't catch on to, because Blake Lively wanted to lump Jed Wallace into the lawsuit with Baldoni and Wayfair and Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel. She wanted to lump Jed Wallace into that. But Jed Wallace is suing her separately out of Texas. And so she's just like, no, I don't want to do this out of Texas. That's, beyond the jurisdiction of how I want to handle this lawsuit that we're already handling in New York, right? But Jed Wallace, who, filed his lawsuit before she tried to amend hers to add Jed Wallace, because initially Jed Wallace was part of the CRD complaint that she filed in California. Again, because all of these different filings, it does make you question what the fuck she's doing. But so anyway, she ended up serving Jed Wallace in Texas. So technically, the lawsuit that he brought, he could bring forth in Texas because that's where she served him initially. She's, I don't know. She's something else. She really is. But I'm trying to understand her legal strategy here. Okay, so this is what I think. They're not just looking for evidence, they're looking for incriminating information that they could potentially use as blackmail. Allegedly, right? This is my own conjecture. This is my theory. I'm not stating this theory as fact. I'm just saying, per my assessment of the situation, I believe that there is possibly an intention to blackmail Baldoni and Wayfair and co, right? Why ask for all of that info, regardless of the sender, regardless of the subject info, unless you wanted to find a way to dig up dirt? This is a common tactic that's used in court. You dig up dirt on people during the discovery process, and then you use that against them. What do you usually dig up dirt for? In order to bury somebody, right? They want to find naughty text messages. They want to find private correspondence, private texts that maybe aren't PC, right? So that they can then potentially, again, this is all my own speculation, but I'm thinking, my theory is that they want to dig up the dirt so that that can then somehow accidentally get spun and leaked to, I don't know, let's say, oh, yeah, the New York Times, the same way that the text messages that were originally published in the New York Times were twisted and spun to meet a narrative, right? They're out for blood at this point, and clearly, they're capable of launching a smear campaign of their own. So I wholeheartedly believe that this is intended to dig up dirt. Again, my own speculation, my own conjecture, my own theory. I'm not presenting this as fact, but it seems plausible in my brain, in my dumb American brain, right? That they're trying to dig up dirt so that they can strong arm Baldoni into buckling. Because let's say they find something. Let's say they find some sort of, I've talked about this before, my friend Donna Bowling and I, and we're both covering this case. But so we joke with some of the things that we read about ourselves online. And this is common with content creators in general. But so we often will joke, oh yeah, I guess we're racist, or oh my God, you know how much we just, don't like the gay community. And so we're obviously saying that in, a sarcastic way because those are or we hate women, obviously that's said sarcastically and not seriously. But if somebody were to take those text messages, isolate them, and then present them in an article, yeah, that would look really bad, right? And I think that's the intention here, is to dig up things, maybe take them out of context, as we've seen her team do in the past. Her team has already said this in the past, right? So for me, I'm just thinking that this is absolutely intended to strong arm, maybe not blackmail, I don't know, maybe not extort, I don't know, but within the realm of reason, right? Let Friedman get the receipts from Mint Mobile, right? I cannot stop laughing that she was talking about the book and the movie at BookCon without even having read the book, right? I know, that's crazy, real. That's crazy. Dreamwalker says, stop saying Americans are dumb. You have an international audience. It was my love. That was a joke because people called me a dumb American. So I made a joke. Laugh, ha ha, funny. So that's where we're at with Blake No Teeth Lively. She wants to find some evidence because it doesn't seem like she's got any. And again, deposing people, the discovery process, all very standard, but you wouldn't need to wait until after the discovery process to present your case. Like, it just, the way that they're going about this is really showing that they don't have anything. And the fact that they keep blocking, like Baldoni's dropping receipts left and right. He's like, here's footage, here's raw audio, here's text messages, here's emails. And she didn't know that he had all this, right? She didn't know that he was going to release the raw footage from that scene. She didn't know, as they mentioned in their complaint, that there was audio that was being recorded at that time. She didn't think that there was any audio. Her team was not aware of that. Her team's not aware of all these emails with Wayfair's legal team and with Sony that are expressing concerns about her behavior. They didn't know that they have all these text messages from crew members and editors that are over here talking about how she's hijacking the film. They had no idea that this evidence existed. And now that it's all coming out, it's making her look really bad. Real says, I can't wait for Discovery where Blake and Ryan are discussing in texts. Blake wants to be a lawyer now. She's probably taking the bar exam without studying. Can Justin get her records as well? Yes, they can also subpoena her records. I'm pretty sure that that's part of what they want to do, because that'll really help their case against the New York Times. It's going to be interesting to see who gets buckled first. Kristen says, yes, she is scared to be deposed. I hope Friedman hits back with the request for deposition and discovery of records. She will be deposed. That's already been determined. Brian Friedman will be deposing her at some point. He wasn't able to get access to it now, but that was something that was discussed at their pretrial hearing initially, that, you know, I'm curious who's going to buckle first, though. Is it going to be the New York Times or is it going to be Blake Lively? One of them is going to have to fold because those are two different lawsuits that Justin Baldoni has filed, one against Blake and Ryan, one against the New York Times for defamation, promissory fraud, all that stuff. But that's going to be really interesting to see who buckles, because one of them is going to have to buckle. Like either the New York Times is going to buckle, because I think they're probably afraid of Baldoni's legal team getting access to their records, right? I'm pretty sure there's something in there. I mean, just how we already saw the dates in the server with the uploads of the photos in the original New York Times article, that shows that the New York Times was already working on these articles, or on that article specifically, prior to Blake even filing her CRD complaint, which tells me that there was some sort of correspondence. And somebody's either going to settle so that they don't have to turn over those records, or they're going to throw each other under the bus. The New York Times is going to be like, listen, we're just going to give you what you want. We're going to give you the emails. We're going to give you the correspondence because we're trying to protect our butt and we have no loyalty to Blake Lively. It will be interesting, and I think they'll want to protect themselves, right? That's part of the reason Trump, when he sued, what was it, MSNBC, and when they settled their lawsuit with him, because they didn't want to go to the discovery phase. You know, people are like, oh, the media is just buckling to him. But it's like, no, people don't settle if they have a strong case. Suing the media is really hard to do, especially when it comes to suing them for defamation. And so there was very clearly something, because they didn't even get to the discovery phase before they buckled in their lawsuit and agreed to settle and pay Trump out. There was something that likely would have come out in the discovery process that they were trying to protect. Michelle thinks that the New York Times will buckle first. Blake and Ryan are too delusional to settle first. I agree. And I think that I have always predicted that I think the New York Times will buckle. Now, they're either going to buckle to avoid having to turn over information and discovery, or they're going to allow Baldoni's team to access whatever info it is that they have. And they'll probably willingly turn it over to say, listen, we're just we're protecting ourselves here. We didn't know any better. This is the story that we were told, and we ran with it because we had somebody that we believed to be a credible source, as in Blake Lively and her team. We didn't have any reason to not believe her. These are the things that she told us. She came to us and presented this information to us. We did our job. We looked into it and we wrote about it, right? All we did was report on the story that was given to us. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. Julie Ann says, yeah, I'm waiting for Stephanie to come into the picture. Yes, Stephanie Jones of Jones Work PR. She is named in some of the, I don't know. I feel like she was really trying to make something happen, and Fetch is just not happening, and nobody cares about the Stephanie Jones part of any of this. The Lively Reynolds home must be a nightmare. Oh, I'm sure they're not all hunky-dory right now. Roses Wild says, who do you think altered the text that were displayed in the New York Times article? Blake's camp or the New York Times themselves? Probably Blake's camp. I don't think that, yeah, probably Blake's camp, because the altering of the text messages. So what we see is isolated messages, and some of which were retyped, right? And we can see that they're retyped because of the format that's used and presented in the article. You know what a screenshot of a text message looks like. And so we do have some that are screenshots of the text messages, but then you also have the retyping of the messages. And usually your legal team will retype them so that they can be presented in a legal document. So I believe it was likely her team that retyped those messages in that format to present them in the CRD complaint, which ultimately ended up getting published in the lawsuit that was filed. Jones and her woman-owned business. Yeah, that was funny. Mint in the live chat is referring to the fact that Jones was fighting, saying that, she's a women-owned business, yada, yada, yada. And then Brian Friedman argued, well, yeah, so is Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel. They're also women-owned businesses. Like, what? So Miss Rebecca T said, nope. The New York Times said that they saw thousands of documents. They need to admit guilt and pay some attorney's fees. Yeah. So they did say that there were thousands of documents that were provided to them that they reviewed, and that the only reason that they claim that they didn't cherry pick those text messages, the only reason that they chose to publish those text messages were because it made the story more concise. Because suddenly the New York Times is worried about their word count, right? Suddenly they just wanted to make sure the story was concise. It wasn't about cherry picking things or taking things out of context and presenting them in a certain way. It was all about, we wanted to make sure that we didn't go over, what we wanted our intended word count to be. Come on. You think I just fell out of a coconut tree? Please. Like I said, I may be a dumb American, but come on. I did not just fall out of a coconut tree. Thousands of documents. That's what they claim. Thousands of documents. So tell me this, riddle me this. If there were thousands of documents that Blake Lively's team presented to the New York Times, then why is she trying to gag Justin Baldoni? No teeth. Why is she trying to not be deposed or delay the deposition? Why is she trying to delay having to file her amended complaint if she has everything ready? She's had months to pull together. They have thousands of pages, the New York Times claimed. Thousands of pages. You have thousands of pages, and yet you need to subpoena all of the phone records over the last 2 years from Baldoni and everybody attached, regardless of what the subject is, regardless of who they're in communication with. Come on. Shiddity, spelled Shiddity, Shiddity. Zack, I'm so glad you chose to deep dive into this case and open our eyes. We all believe Blake, but not anymore. I didn't believe her from the jump at all. I did not believe her. Just the way that the story was presented. At first, I was like, I don't care. And then I was like, oh, the way that they're presenting this makes it look really bad. So Irma says, New York Times removed the paywall and created a downloadable PDF. Yeah, I just want to say this. Because that was my information. I was one of the first people to jump in on covering this, and I was the first one to expose aside from, I think, Ari Jacob on Twitter, on X. I was one of the few that called those things out, right? When everybody was believing Blake, I was one of the few that called out those two notes, and I referenced them often about the New York Times removing their paywall and making the CRD complaint easy to download. And then it was a CRD complaint, not an official lawsuit, and it was filed in California. All of those things from the jump did not make sense to me. And I'm not out here crying like Googe or anyone that was my theory. That was my original information. I put that out on the internet first. You don't see me bitching about that shit. But now that you brought it up, thank you for reminding me. That was my original thought that I put out on the internet that everybody then picked up on. And not many people even continue to report on, but I do reference it often. That was my original thought. And you don't see me out there. You didn't see me for the last 2 months bitching about it. Dulcina says, I was on Blake's side until I saw the video. The video is the best evidence. I agree. And that's what Johnny Depp's attorney, Ben Chu, said when he was interviewed and asked about this, because he helped Johnny Depp win the lawsuit against Amber Heard, the defamation case. And so he said that the most damning evidence is the footage, right? Raw footage, raw audio, all of which Blake didn't know would be presented publicly. And the audio she didn't even know existed. So the person who reminded us that the New York Times said thousands of documents, exactly. Why is she stalling and fishing? Exactly. If she has all thousands of documents that prove that the smear campaign was real, drop them. Mention it all. Put your own website up and put all thousands of the documents on there. What do you have to hide? The truth is on your side. No? I thought, wait, you were telling the truth. Also, mind you, there has been absolutely zero evidence that her team has presented, even in the original New York Times article, about the alleged harassment. Can somebody reference a single piece of credible evidence that she has provided for the harassment? aside from her own narrative, right? Aside from her own testimony, what evidence has she presented to prove that there was any sort of harassment outside of her own word, right? Because that's all we got was a lot of her words and then some text messages. But the text messages were specific to the smear campaign, the alleged retaliation, which they will have to prove that they can, even if they prove that the smear campaign existed, which I still don't believe that it did, and they still have not given us evidence to provide that. But let's just say they go on the fishing expedition and find some sort of smoking gun. And in it, they can prove that the smear campaign happened. They would also have to prove that the smear campaign was deliberately, because I don't believe it's illegal to like plant negative stories about somebody, especially if the stories happen to be true. But they have to present and make the connection that the smear campaign was in response to the allegations of harassment and that they were trying to silence her. That's the allegation. So there are multiple pieces to this. Multiple pieces. Zack, please talk about the Betty Buzz commercial for Fake Lively is humiliating a man. Yeah, I did see that. There was a commercial. I don't think that was a Betty Buzz commercial, though, was it? I thought it was an aviation gin commercial. Maybe it was a Betty Buzz. I'm not sure. But there is a video that's going around the internet right now where she she definitely has a male counterpart that you see him without his shirt on, or he's like very sexualized. And the claim is that, let me see if I can pull it up. Blake Lively commercial. Yeah, here it is. It's like this. It's a commercial. I want to say it's for aviation gin and not for Betty Buzz. But here I have it right here. Let me pull it up for you guys, and I'll play it on the show. But so it's this commercial that's going around the internet. Talk horses all up on, and she definitely like sexualized this man. And so, I mean, not that it is harassment or isn't harassment, but with some of the with the pearl clutching that we see from her now. It's just interesting that she wants to clutch her pearls now, considering we also have the radio interview that she did where she's talking about making a boob cake. So she definitely has, a more inappropriate sense of humor, which is totally fine, right? Like nobody's against her for, leaning into some naughty jokes. I think the real issue comes down to, it's not about the naughty jokes, it's about the pearl clutching that we see now. And that's when you see the internet so outraged about all of this. They're like, oh my God, can you believe he said that? What? And it's like, but she has this sense of humor that even if he did say some of these things, right? Is she really that much of a prude that it's suddenly offensive to her? Here's the commercial, the Blake Lively commercial. This is on TikTok from a creator, King Grandma, on TikTok.
There's a reason all men love Betty Buzz. Because at Betty Buzz, we don't test on animals. We test on men. That's a good boy. Drink up. Let him know how good it is.
Okay, so I stand corrected. That was not a aviation gin commercial. Obviously, aviation gin is the gin that was used in A Simple Favor, the movie that she co-starred in with Anna Kendrick in, and there was a lot of aviation gin that was used. And she even, it's interesting because I swear I remember the martini from that film, which was like her iconic drink in that film. I remember it as a vodka martini, but that's right, it was aviation gin, so it was a classic gin martini. But so this commercial though is for her Betty Buzz booze brand. So yeah, that's a good boy. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. Was this commercial? Was it Ryan's idea? I don't know. Yeah, see, everyone's like, she's objectifying men. That's why it's like the double standards, right? But also I can see that argument being flipped of like, oh, well, if she wears a short dress, does that mean she's asking for it? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying the double standards, right? You can't claim one thing, but yet your behavior is something else, right? Similar to like Armie Hammer, right? When that one girl, Effie, was coming out against him and was making allegations against him. And then his attorney ended up releasing text messages showing that she was engaging and complicit in some of their naughty messages together. And so they're like, well, they were both, engaging in these, kinky messages back and forth. So you can't just blame Armie for it. But the media was only presenting the side that made Armie look bad. And so those were also messages that were cherry picked and presented in a certain way. Not to defend Armie Hammer, because I know he's a freaky boy. Super freak. He's super freaky. Yeah. No denying that. But again, context matters. Information matters. All the details matter. Who told Isabella Ferrer that Taylor selected her? Maybe it was Blake. It didn't seem like Baldoni based off of his interview, because he was asked about it in an interview that he gave, and they were like, oh, didn't Isabella get cast by Taylor Swift? Because I guess Isabella in an interview said that she heard that Taylor Swift was fond of her and helped push through her casting. And I don't believe that that's what happened. From hearing all sides of that story, it sounds like Baldoni really liked her and his team liked her. She also had a mold that was very similar to Blake's. She resembled Blake a lot. And so he really liked this casting. He then presented it to Blake Lively. And I guess Taylor Swift happened to also be there, and they thought that she was perfect. So they agreed with him. But that's not to say that they had any authority over casting decisions. So I think that you are thinking she made a Mangus drink when she was interviewing her. Oh, when he was interviewing her. Oh, she did. That is a good point. There was a separate interview that Blake Lively did for A Simple Favor when she was doing promotion, and she was also promoting Aviation Gin in that. And that's where she made the reporter drink the Aviation Gin. That was an interesting one. Let me see if I can find that one. Blake Lively. Because that one was also very uncomfortable, and it didn't look too good on her end either, because she made the reporter basically down a gin martini ahead of the interview. Let me pull that one up. That way we can watch that, because it's also just a very awkward and uncomfortable interview. Well, wait, this clip is like 5 minutes long. Let's see if I can find a more succinct one. Everybody's resurfacing the I guess let's see. We'll play it and see how this we should be making people drink. But if he was an alcoholic, well, that's, I think what a lot of people are starting to like be concerned with. They're like it's not a good look, right? It's a good look to be trying to force somebody else to drink, regardless of what the product is, So. Well, Janelle, okay, here's that interview. It's when she was doing promotion for A Simple Favor. And so this guy is interviewing her, and she then, reference like the Aviation Gin, which is clearly a promotion for Ryan Reynolds, because that's his gin company. Do they even drink, Blake and Ryan? I feel like I heard somewhere that Blake doesn't even really drink alcohol. So it is strange that they're promoting alcohol when they don't drink, especially drinking on the job. Well, here's the thing. It would be one thing if it was like a glass of wine or her canned seltzer or something, and she was like, take a sip and drink it, right? Where there's a low alcohol volume in the drink. But in this case, this was straight gin that this interviewer, which she shouldn't have been promoting the gin, because she was doing a press tour for the film, and the film had a prominent feature for Aviation Gin. And that was something which also goes to show that like Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively definitely inserted themselves in that, because why would some random film be pushing Aviation Gin so hard? I highly doubt that was a paid endorsement. I think that was something that was pushed by Blake and by Ryan Reynolds. But here's the interview, or at least a clip of the interview.
Him. Okay, so if you could just kind of favor your right side, so just shift over in your seat a little. No, to your right. Over this way.
Oh, like that?
There you go.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. This is Magnus.
Agnes,
Yes.
when I saw you earlier, you said, oh, let me get a shot. And I thought you meant of alcohol, but you meant a photograph. So guess what? Time to put up.
And what are we drinking?
Aviation American Gin. Who's owned by a very, very sexy man, who also happens to be my husband.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. So let's see. Let's see what you think.
We're starting early.
Yeah, we are starting early. What better time to start?
Cheers.
Cheers. How does the taste test happen?
It is good.
Oh, your voice went higher an octave. Just, come on, just shoot it. Just shoot it.
I'll be
the
singing
interview
if I
would be so
finish
much
this.
more interesting. We just do like straight shots.
But I hear you don't drink, right?
I don't drink. No, this is coffee. But it's in a martini glass. Isn't that classy? Actually, I don't even like coffee, but I drink it because I love the way they crush the beans and they talk about it and the story of the, the origin of them and, the milk and the foaming it and all of that. And the same thing with alcohol when I hear about, how this is distilled in Portland and how the reason this one is winning all the taste tests actually is because gin has a high juniper content, which is why a lot of people don't like gin, but this has no juniper and like all of that story I just love because I like storytelling. It's what I do for a living. And then, martinis are so sexy. I mean, that's why they're in this movie. It's just straight gin. It's not, there's nothing fancy to a martini, but the glass and the way you swirl it and you dump it and you twist the lemon and it's just like, oh, it's so sexy. So that's why. I think it's sexy.
Okay, Magnus.
Ja? Yes.
Ja, that's yes in Swedish.
Okay.
Yeah. What happened? I mean, you came in to do an interview and then she started trying to get you drunk, or what happened?
Oh God, I almost don't remember it, but
Because you got so drunk, or?
it was early in the morning.
Yeah.
What was the movie again?
A Simple Favor.
A Simple Favor. I can never remember the title, with Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of surreal in a bit because I was there to interview her and they had built the set a little bit and walked into that and was completely ambushed by her promoting her husband's gin, basically. So she hijacked the interview in a sense and took it was at least almost half of that interview to talk about this the product placement, basically. That's what it was. It was a big product placement.
And you as a journalist, how does that make you feel when someone is trying to like push you, because she was trying to promote the brand through you?
Obviously,
right?
yeah. I mean, it was a blatant promotional thing, but and I played along, so I could of course have objected, but my job is to sort of make the talent play along, or so or I have to make the talent.
Have a good interview.
Yeah, and I want to be friendly, and I want to I want her to open up and to be able to talk. So, I played along. I drank gin at 10 in the morning. I would never do that. Yeah, I kind of felt like I had to. And
you look very uncomfortable there. I saw your facial expression.
You mean more than now?
Yeah, more than now. No, but you look like you were like suffering a little bit. You didn't know what to do. And as soon as she poured you that first martini or whatever, she started saying, shuck it, shut it down.
Yeah, finish it.
Yeah. And you were like,
Yeah, I mean, you come up there after having had your cereal and milk, and then all of a sudden you get gin served on the rocks.
Yeah, to do your job, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So of course it wasn't the best. I'm not saying I'm the victim. Or of course I could have said no, but it was kind of weird. The whole setup was weird.
Yeah.
And
then she started talking, and you asked her about, she doesn't even drink, which is like.
Yeah, she wanted me to drink, but she doesn't drink herself. No. She doesn't drink coffee either, but she loves it too. It was just like.
And she spent a lot of time talking about how you create coffee with beans and basically also to talk about how you create gin.
Yeah, I mean, that felt like a whole spiel, like, there was a whole setup to, she talked about how coffee is made so she can talk about how gin is made.
Yeah.
And, especially this gin that her husband owns and promotes.
Her sexy husband, you mean?
Oh, yeah, that's of course.
Yeah. So, what do you think about these celebrities promoting brands like this, especially in these interview settings? I think one thing is if you are on Instagram and you're showing off products that has your name on them or whatever, I think that's one thing. But another thing is if you sit and you invite a journalist to interview you about a movie and then you sit and push alcohol brand on them.
Yeah, especially had it been, first of all, I wonder who her advisors are, because in most countries in the world you can't show that. You can't have a booze commercial basically in what's supposed to be regular content.
So you know it's illegal to have any advertisement for alcohol. It's illegal
in some countries.
Okay, so that's a really good point that they make. So I didn't realize that second clip was going to play in that video, because obviously you see the first clip where Blake Lively is pressuring the interviewer to drink the aviation gin, and then we have the original woman who, forgive me, I wasn't planning on playing this clip, so I didn't have their names, and I also am not entirely sure on the pronunciation of the woman's name from the Little Bump interview. So these are two different interviews. There was the Little Bump interview, and then there's this weird aviation gin interview that she's doing to promote A Simple Favor. And as they say, when it comes to the promotion of alcohol, there are certain regulations, right? So it was just kind of strange that he was there to interview Blake about A Simple Favor, and yet she was continuing to push aviation gin. MB said it wasn't included that she made him down it in the end. Yes, she did make him down it in the end. Shiesty. Yes. Oh, is that her name? Her name is Kirsty? Shirsty Flaw. Shresty Flaw. Sharshti. Sharshti Flaw. It's spelled Kjersti. And people are saying that it's pronounced Sharshti. Sharshti Flaw is the name of the woman, the Little Bump reporter. And so she had this guy from the aviation gin interview on, and she was chatting with him about it. So that was the end of the clip that we just watched, was her interviewing him on her YouTube channel, because obviously she's been very outspoken against Blake Lively. She's also distanced herself from Justin Baldoni's legal team, saying she has nothing to do with them and she was not part of a smear campaign. I always said that she was the one that really launched, and not intentionally, right? And I say that loosely because I know last time I said this, people got upset with me, as in, she didn't launch a smear campaign. I just said, if you are going to go with the argument of a smear campaign, the person that spearheaded the takedown of Blake Lively, not intentionally, I don't believe that her intention was to take down Blake Lively, but her interview is what went viral and caused everybody else to start digging up all of the other interviews. So that's just where it's at. Oh, he's her boyfriend. Oh, I didn't realize he was her boyfriend. Wait, so Blake Lively took both of them hostage in an interview? Interesting. The veil is lifting. Interesting. Wow. He's from Sweden, yes. I feel like it was divine. It was meant to be. I mean, I guess so. Blake Lively, they bonded over trauma from their experiences with Blake Lively. That is funny. She bullied a whole couple, right? That's why. And they both came out and spoke out against her. Hilarious. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. Okay, let's do a little bit of Bravo news, shall we? But if you guys are liking this episode, if you're enjoying this tea, then be sure to hit the like button. We have 300 or 1,300 people watching live right now. Hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. The goal is to get to 100K by the end of the year. Like Onija said, 100K by next week. I mean, obviously, I don't think we're at 60K. So I don't know if we'll hit 100K by next week, but the goal is to hit 100K. So if you're enjoying the podcast, if you're enjoying the show, hit the subscribe button, guys. Hit it, smack it in the air, smack it in the air. Smack it in the air. Okay, that said, let's talk Bravo, because we do have a bit of Bravo news. So we have a clip that is for next week's episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I talked about this week's episode of Beverly Hills yesterday. We have a clip from next week, which is Dorit's barbecue, her 4th of July barbecue, which I did get a little insider tea on. Maybe I'll save it for members only. Well, I guess it wasn't that good tea, but it was like insider tea because I knew somebody that was at that party. But anyway, Sutton gets into it with Dorit in the preview for next week. We see that, Sutton and Dorit have some sort of conflict, and then Sutton tells Dorit, she calls her a bitch. And then Dorit's like, don't call me a bitch in my own home, Sutton. And then Sutton's like, I'm leaving. And so her little bird legs go marching on out. And so she marches out of Dorit's house. And so that I am kind of with Dorit, like why is Sutton there? Why did she come to this 4th of July party? Why is and again, don't come into my home and call me a bitch, all right? Because you're about to get asked out real quick. You don't get to come into my home, call me a bitch, and then peace out. No, not today, Satan. Not today. Nope, not gonna happen. I will throw you out of my house before you decide to electively leave after calling me a biatch. So I'm predicting the rest of the season will continue to center around Sutton and Dorit's beef with each other. I think Sutton and Kyle are probably over their drama. And so now we moving on. We also had the premiere of Summer House. I did not watch the premiere, but I did see the clip that everybody is talking about, which is where it's like not a flashback, but I guess the season is a flashback, but then they do flash to modern day, which is a sit down very similar to like when Carl and Lindsay broke up and they picked up cameras to film the fallout of that. We have them filming the fallout of Paige's breakup with Craig. I believe Craig has a scene that's filmed for Southern Charm about the breakup, and then Paige has her scene that's filmed with the ladies of Summer House that gets aired on this season of Summer House. So the breakup will be a prominent part of this new season, but it won't be until the end of the season because they were obviously together throughout the duration of filming for both Summer House and Southern Charm. But in it, she says that Craig, apparently, she's upset that there's this narrative that Paige DeSorbo cheated on Craig. And so Paige is telling the other women, she's like, listen, I don't like that he's allowing people to think that of me when he's the one that was texting other girls. She was like, he was texting other bitches while we were together. And I'm just like, oh, again, I'm curious about the context of this Paige DeSorbo, because I believe the rumors about Paige being a cheater and cheating on Craig, I believe that those rumors stemmed from DMs that she was sending other guys. So, but I don't think everyone's like, well, she was just DMing. I think Dumois came out to defend Paige DeSorbo and say, well, she was just DMing him. That's not to say that she was doing anything inappropriate. So who's to say if he's texting other women that it's inappropriate? Who were the other women? Was he texting Lindsay Hubbard? Was he texting another Bravo lab? Was he texting his mother? Like, hello, Blake Lively, context matters. What was the nature of these messages? Were they flirty? Did these women offer no teeth? Because if there's no teeth, I have questions, right? I want to know. Was waiting for we'll get to the Onijah update in just a sec. But so, yeah, Blake Lively, or sorry, Paige DeSorbo, I think she threw that out there to make Craig look bad, but I don't think the audience is falling for it. And if anything, I think this is going to end up backfiring on Paige, and the audience will likely turn on her. So now people want to be toothless. Yet that's the new party line. Toothless. I'll show you a good time. No teeth. I'll give Armie Hammer a new job. No teeth. So yeah. Now that's the bit of Bravo news, because everyone's like, what happened to all the Bravo news? So that's the Bravo news. But let's talk about Onijah Robinson, because she's been spotted, you guys. We found her. Sort of. So there's this woman. Her name is Charlotte. Let me see. Her name is. Oh, wait, what? Her name is Charlotte, right? Charlatan. Her name is. Let me give you her full name because I want to give her credit. Charlotte Burney. Burney. And she's going viral because she claims that Onijah Robinson was on a flight. And she boarded a flight from Dubai to JFK. And she's claiming that Onijah was in this flight, or was on this flight, and she had been detained and booted from the flight. And so that was kind of the strange thing, is that, so her video says, the American woman in Pakistan is on my flight from Dubai to JFK. Please message me if you are up to date on the latest. This is serious. Is she allowed to fly back to the US? Let's discuss. Thanks. And then she includes this very far away photo, and she says, it's her, I swear. And then she shares the photo, right? And you can see that there are two airline agents, and they have Onijah in the corner. You cannot see this woman's face, but the woman on the plane, this is her. She kind of resembles this Charlotte woman resembles, at least from this angle, and she kind of reminds me of Sarah Fraser, who I love and adore. But this kind of gives me Sarah Fraser vibes. I don't know why she like kind of looks like her. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree. But so anyway, she continues by saying, update, Onijah has been escorted off the plane by 2 undercover cops who looked like flight attendants. The announcement just said, sorry for the delay. We had to deboard one of our passengers for security reasons. Now, I don't know if these were truly undercover cops or they were just agents that happened to remove Onijah, but this Charlotte woman on the Tickety Talk is claiming that Onijah was removed. She then posts a photo of the bathroom and she says, or it looks like, or maybe the exit, and she said, this is the door that she was escorted out of right in front of me. And then she continues by saying, Onijah got taken. She got taken down this runway and I could see her from my window. Our flight was delayed 30 minutes because of this. And so it shows the photo out the window. Now, does this prove that it was Onijah? Nobody knows. Nobody knows if this is actually her. Now, the last time we did see Onijah, she was wearing this green headscarf in Dubai when people were posting photos and taking selfies of her when they saw her in the streets of Dubai. So it sounds like what happened, because Onijah is the woman from New York City that ended up going to Pakistan back in October. She had a 30-day visa. At first, we thought it was a 2-week visa, but it appears it was a 30-day visa. She went to go meet her man because she met this man online and they got married. She's claiming they got married in Utah via the online. So she went to go check up on her man. She said, come on, check up on it. So she went to go see him. And then he saw her and he's like, whoa, you catfished me. And so the rumor is that she used a Nicki Minaj filter and that she deceived him into making him believe online that she was a white woman, but she's obviously a black woman and she was using Nicki Minaj filters to catfish him. I've also heard rumors that he catfished her as well. So it seems like I don't think he ever thought, oh, I found love in a hopeless place. We're married online. Like nothing's really going to come of it. Turns out he's 19 and she's not white. She goes to meet the love of her life. She seems fine with it, right? She didn't seem to have any objection to him actually being this 19-year-old kid. And he seemed very bothered by it. And he was like, yeah, no. Swipe left. I'm not interested in this. And so she decides she's going to camp out inside of his house. And then his family just flees. And they're like, we want no part of this. So they peace out and they just leave her there. And then the press picks up on it and she starts doing press conferences. And then suddenly she goes on this mission to make Pakistan great again. She's been there since October. Okay. And so my question is, where's her family? How did they allow this to happen? Like what is happening? You know what I mean? How, like, where in the world is Onijah Robinson and why do we allow her to, like, who greenlit that mission is what I really want to know. Like, because she has sons and people are like, well, her sons are like teenagers. Like, what do you expect them to do? I don't know. Even if I was a teenager, I would absolutely be trying to get my mother home from Pakistan. If my mother was like, you know what, I'm going to go to Pakistan to meet some boy, I would be like, the hell you are, Nancy. Not today, Satan. No way, Jose, am I going to let you get on a plane and go, especially if I knew you were a little off, right? Because the son or this kid that claims to be her son says that she's bipolar and she may be having an episode. Cool. Got that. But if you know your mother's bipolar and you know she's got some issues, who greenlit this mission? Who signed off on that departure is what I want to know. Who said, yeah, you know what? That's a great idea. Go meet your 19-year-old boyfriend in Pakistan. And then when she's been gone for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and then she started surfacing on the internet, at one point do we say, okay, abort. This is now a rescue mission. Let's get Onijah home again, right? She already made Pakistan great again, but now let's get Onijah home again. It's like... time frame wise, we're talking about Halloween is when she went. It is now February. We are now Valentine's Day. That is a number of holidays. Like, how did we not find a solution yet? No GoFundMe, no, like, I don't know, have a car wash. Where I'm from, if you can't afford to bury your family member, you go have a car wash and raise some money real quick, you know? Something. We didn't want to bring mama home for Christmas. We didn't think to write that on the list for Santa Claus. I'm a little confused here. Onijah is allegedly 33. 33 or more. Let's just say that. She's 33 or more. She claims to be 33, but I'm going to lean hard on the or more. Nina says, I'm about 33 this Saturday. Maybe I should get a Nicki Minaj filter too. I want to be a prince from Pakistan. I mean, her kids tried to help her. Listen, her kids did not try hard enough. Onijah has some audacity, okay? Tanya's laughing at the car wash. Listen, if you know, you know. Like J-Lo with the orange drink, if you know, you know. The car wash, if you know, you know. I don't know if any of you know, but if you know, you know. Spare change, something, right? Like, let's do so. And also, if she's turning down flights, right? First of all, I would not allow my mother the opportunity. Nancy would not have the choice to turn down a flight. First of all, I would never greenlight that mission and let her go to Pakistan to begin with. But fine, she needs a vacation. She's going to find love in a hopeless place. Cool, go to Pakistan. But when she's not coming home, at some point, I put my butt on the plane. I go to Pakistan unwillingly, but I will do it for the plot to save my mother. I will be damned before I let you turn my mother into a meme on the internet. This boy needs to get his mother off the internet. I would get on the plane. I would go down there. I would say, Nancy, get on the plane. Get on the plane. You're embarrassing us. Get on the damn plane, lady. I would grab her by the eyebrows. Okay. And I would say, not today. Not today. They're literally homeless, Zach. Her whole family is homeless. How did she afford a flight to Pakistan if she's homeless? Listen, one thing I will give Onijah Robinson is that she has proven that anything is possible. So her kids should have that same sort of, belief system, and they should also believe that anything is possible, and they should find a way to get her home. How is it that he is getting on a plane when he lives in a shelter? Listen, I'm just saying October to February, we're going to find no sort of solution. We're just going to be like, cool, she's gone now. We wish her the best. Also, how do we know that he's in a shelter? I've been trying to dig up info on her family, and I have not been able to find it, and the press has not been able to find it. Let's see if nobody's been able to get some real info on this situation. And it doesn't seem like any members of the press have published any new updates on any of this. So I think all of the rumors about the son have so far not been confirmed. So my thing is, maybe it's not her son. When she was on TV, she was shouting out a lot of people during her press conferences. She was shouting out all her friends back home. And none of her friends that were getting shout outs thought like, oh yeah, let's go get her. Let's go save her. Like, the eyebrow artist, whoever taught her how to do those eyebrows, should be on the plane and going and getting her, because one, that's a bad advertisement. But two, you owe her for that, They've sent planes. I'm sure her son can get on one of those planes. Thank you, Sandy. They've been sending planes to get her to come home. If we send one plane, two planes, and she's not getting on the plane, I'm getting on the plane, and I'm going and grabbing her by the eyebrows and dragging her onto the damn plane, and we're bringing Nancy home, We're bringing her home one way or another. She doesn't have a choice to not get on the plane. I'm sorry. Not today. I am not letting you turn my mother into a meme. So I don't know who is in charge of that, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Zack is off to Dubai to rescue Onijah. Well, okay, so that's the latest update is Shabana, her police escort, who she tells people is just the woman from Pakistan that's taking care of her. She's on her team. This is my team, Shabana. And so listen, Shabana fumbled the ball, okay? I'm going to call out Shabana now. Shabana, you had one job. That was to see the mission through and make sure we got Onijah home to New York, even if Shabana had to get on the flight with her, which, first of all, who let her on the plane by herself? Clearly, she goes rogue, right? She's Rachel goes rogue out in Pakistan. Whoever is just letting her go all around the world like she's Carmen Sandiego, she's Leonardo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can. My God, Shabana did not look happy in those videos. Listen, I'm a little convinced that Shabana was like, you know what? Heck with this. Lady, get on the plane. You're not my problem anymore. Shabana didn't even care what plane she put Onijah on. Shabana's like, just get on a plane. Whatever plane will let you on. You'll figure it out. And Shabana was just like, once you're on the plane and you're off Pakistani ground, you're out of here. You're out of my hair. Shampoo press gets you out of my hair. If you go off to rescue Onijah, Zack, we need a solid document. I would love that. I would absolutely. Listen, I feel like I want to spearhead the mission to find her son and find a way to get Onijah home. Is this going to be my new mission? Oh my God, you guys, I'm actually getting inspired right now. Remember how I was out here trying to save the fires? That's going to be my new mission. I am going to go and find Onijah. Okay, this is it. I'm Candace Owens, and I'm telling the internet sleuths to help me out here. We're going to find her son. Get me any info that you can dig up on Onijah's son. Okay, I'm going to find her son. I have to go to New York next week. I'm going to go to New York, find her son, and we're going to find a way to get her home. Okay, I'll call up all the doctors I know. Maybe we'll get her on some good meds. Kenzie said, please no. No, I actually am down for this fight. I love a good mission, okay? I love a good mission. And if they can't get their mother on the plane, I'm about to go get their mother on a plane and get her home. I don't like that she's in Dubai by herself. And they took her off the plane, apparently, according to Charlotte on the internet. Charlotte saying that she was trying to board the flight and get home to JFK, and they told her no. It's illegal to be gay in Dubai. Good luck, Zack. Okay, well, joke's on you, Katie. I've already been to Dubai. Been there, done that, lady. What do you think? I'm just going to go to Dubai and start advertising gay sex? Like, I've been to Dubai. I survived it the first time, okay? But this time I'll be on a rescue mission. But also, you know, there's a whole queer community in Dubai, girl nowhere. Yeah, I mean, yes. But also, I mean, come on. You think I'm just going to go there and be like, hey, guys, hey, everybody, I'm gay. I like butt sex, okay? Can you please lock me up for sodomy? Like, come on. You think I just fell out of a coconut tree? When did you go to Dubai? 2018, I think. Yeah. I'm just saying I wouldn't risk it. I already did. I already played with fire, and look at that. I survived. Joke's on you. Zack ain't gay in Dubai. Snap. That's right. When I land on Dubai territory, on Dubai land, suddenly I become straight, you know? Going to Dubai, the ticket costs 4 dozen. The ticket costs 4 dozen eggs. My ticket last time was $1,000. Are you trying to say the eggs are $250? Is that even her real name? Nicki Minaj is a real name for Onika. Onika. My name is Onika. You can call me Nikki. Sutton and her mom are so rude. Yes, I agree. We'll purchase the Evacuate merch to support the mission. There we go. Let's go. Listen, if anybody, I'm down. Like I have to go to New York next week. I am so down to, since everybody seems to know her son and her son's in a shelter, let's find the son. I will go to the son personally because none of the embassies seem to be helping, right? So if the embassy suites cannot crack this case, then it sounds like a case for the Zack Pack. I'm dead ass serious right now. I think I'll do an Instagram video and say, listen, whatever information you have on Onijah Robinson, we are going to bring Onijah home again. She thinks she's a tough lady, but she hasn't dealt with me. I will get her on that damn plane one way or another. With consent, right? Like, I just want to be very clear. I don't want to get arrested either. We ride at dawn, right? Please document. Obviously, that's going to be a documentary. I'm about to call up Marco and say, Marco, get the cameras rolling. Let's go. Okay. But so where is she now? Well, presumably in Dubai. We don't know if she ever made it home to New York. You are too funny. You guys think I'm joking. I'm dead ass serious. I will, if nobody else is going to find a way to get Onijah home again, I will make this my mission. So for everybody that claims that, you know, we're going to evacuate her. That's right. Somebody called Bethany Frankel. This is a crisis. Zack, what's your sign? I'm a Gemini. It's private, but no. My cousin and his husband lived in Dubai for 2 years and they were fine. Just no PDA. Yeah. Oh my God. Once again, has the best merch ideas. Yes, Michelle always has the best merch ideas. It's giving earth and fire. Is it? Stay safe as you play detective in New York. Okay. Well, first of all, I need you guys to help me find her son. So whatever interview bits you've seen of him, somehow you guys know he's in a shelter. Okay. Drop some receipts, Blake Lively. If you have evidence, show me. Okay. On that note, I gotta go. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for obliging with me. This was quite the wild 90-minute ride. Thank you for sticking through it. Shout out to people who left a review on Apple Podcasts. Let's give some shout outs. Let's do it. Thank you, Megan McCain, for having me on Citizen McCain this week. Guys, be sure to tune into that. New episode of the Pop Report is out right now as well. And then let's do some review shout outs. AGMO24 says, new forever fan. Came for the lively Baldoni drama, staying for the cute, silly host. Thank you. Dottie Daisies says, Zack is an absolute joy to listen to. I just found Zack's podcast today, and I love that he doesn't bend to the woke mob. Zack is bold, endearing, and so funny. I highly recommend this podcast. Listening to Zack makes me so happy. It's so refreshing to find a podcast in the reality realm that doesn't hate on Trump. Listen, I'll hold him accountable when necessary. Oh, and there's a really long one. Do I want to read this one? Okay, well, it's a little long. Here's a fun one. MG Golden says, vile. What happened to him? Terrible political takes, ill-informed at the least. Fortunately, lots of us have a lot smarter choices these days to get gossip from. Politics is obviously way above his pay grade. Well, there you go. And then Jane Smith Doe says, fake news. Listen, if you don't care about the facts or any actual truth, follow him. There you go. All right. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Ciao for now. Love you, mean it. Continue to leave those reviews. Subscribe. Let's hit 100K on the Instagram. We're at 160 on Instagram. 100K on the YouTube. So if you're listening and watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Drop a comment below. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Love you, mean it. Bye.